our data nomenclature, types of machine learning algorithm in a very high level, and we'll go ahead and talk about Azure Cognitive Services. All right, so the first topic we want to learn about is the data science lifecycle. How does a typical data science project looks like? So, of course, at the start of the project, the very first thing to do is to have the business understanding, to understand what are the business challenges we are trying to solve. Um, because at the end of the day, we are here to solve business problems, right? To solve challenges. So understanding that is extremely important. Now, let's say that to do take an example. Imagine that we are a bank and the bank has loan officers, right? So if somebody wants to get a loan, they go to the loan officer, they make them fill a long form with all the details about their current job and current salary and income tax returns and their credit score and all of that. And based on that, the loan officer says, okay, I'll give you a loan or I will not give you a loan. Let's say the bank wants to automate this process and create a machine learning system which can determine the loan process automatically, right? So they want to create a machine learning model which can figure out within 30 seconds if somebody should be given a loan or not. So that's a business problem, right? To be able to do that. So the first step is data acquisition. Where do you get the data from? So in this particular case, you can imagine that maybe the bank itself, right, would be giving loans for the past 30, 40 years. So you would have these paper forms which were filled by the users. And this might have information about their name, their gender, whether they're married or not, right? What was their salary, what was their tax returns like, things like that. So you might just go ahead to 50 different branches of the bank, collects the older form, and with each form you will know if the loan officer gave them a loan or not, right? So that's my data acquisition, data collection in this case. So your data could be anywhere. So the data acquisition and understanding step will have a lot of different sub steps inside of that as well. Now, once you have the data, right, you go ahead and create a model. So a model essentially is data plus some algorithm. So it's called model training. So this could be something where, let's say, you use a neural network or a decision tree algorithm or a clustering algorithm or a regression algorithm. There are multiple algorithms available. We'll talk a little bit about them in the next section. But yeah. So algorithm plus data gives me a model. So what model does is that if I give it some data of the user, it can predict if the loan should be given or not. Right? That's called the modeling phase. And then from the modeling phase, we go to the deployment phase, which is that this model created, which can now predict, is deployed and used. So you can imagine that the model is available to the bank officer, the loan officer now. So instead of taking a physical form, right, the loan officer might take a physical form and himself input it into the computer or ask the user to input in the computer their data, and automatically this system calls the model which is there and gets a response back within few seconds saying whether the loan should be given to this person or not, right? So that's in a nutshell our end-to-end data science life cycle, which is from business understanding to data to modeling to deployment. So here you can see that the very important part is data. So let's look at data nomenclature. So this is, let's say, you are able to go and collect about 1,500 entries, loan applications from different bank branches. So you have put them into, let's say, an Excel spreadsheet or some kind of data set. So in this, you are able to collect, let's say, things like age, gender, marital status, children or not for each of the applicant. So these are called as attributes. This is the attribute of a person that had applied for a loan, right? So here you can see that I put a dot 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 here, but you can imagine we could have hundred of different attributes, like whether they had whether they were employed or not, what was their salary like, what was their outstanding loan like, whether they had a rental house or a house that they own, and so forth, right? This is the loan amount that they asked for. So in this case, 10,000, 20,000, so forth. So for example, and whether they repaid the loan or not, right? When the loan was given to them, they repaid or not. So this is 1,500 guys that got the loan, and we have a history of whether they repaid or not. So each of this the row is actually one person who applied for a loan and got it, right? And so this is called as an observation. So observation is essentially a row, and attribute you can see is column. Attribute is what defines this data. So attributes are the information we have about this person, and the observations is how many persons or how many different observations we have. So in this case, we have 1,500 observations, which means we have data about 1,500 guys who were given loans. Yeah. The last attribute is very important here. It's called as target attribute, which is somebody repaid or not, because essentially this is something that we are trying to predict. This is something we're trying to guess, because if we can guess that yes, he is going to repay the loan, that's good, that's a good candidate, we should give the loan. And if you're predicting that okay, he will not give the loan back, repay the loan back, then we should not be giving a loan. So basically what the model is trying to do is learn from the past behavior of people who repaid the loan, who did not repay the loan, and try to learn what characteristics make somebody more probable to repay the loan automatically, right? It tries to learn that automatically. So that's why repaid is our target attribute, also called as a label. So label means that my data is now I have people who paid the loan, I have people who did not repay the loan, and I want to learn so that I can figure out who are the right people who are very likely to repay the loan, and to only those people I want to give back the loan, right? So then what I usually do is if I have 1,500 observations, 1,500 data, I divide my data into usually 70 to 80% goes in something called as training set. Training set is the data which is given to the algorithm. So if I'm going to use, let's say, algorithm called decision tree or neural network, I'm going to use that bit of data to train my model. It helps me in model generation. Once the model is generated, I want to see whether the model is good or not. So I use something called as validation set. So what validation set is, now the model is generated, right? So what I do is to this model now, I will pass on information of this person and ask the model predict if this person will repay the loan or not. For example, there's a 32-year-old male married with 2 children and blah blah blah, all the other information, ask for a 3,000 loan, and I give this to the model and say predict if he will repay or not. If the model gives back and says nope, he's not going to repay, right? That's the right answer, because he actually did not repay in real life. That means the model has learned well, the accuracy goes up. If he comes back and says, yep, this guy is going to repay, no problem, but actually he has not repaid, right? So then this is counted as an error and the accuracy goes down of the model. So similarly, I do that for all the data in the validation set, right? And I check how effective the model is, right? And that's how I find a good model who can do good in validation set. Then you have a test set, and the test set is usually something which we don't give as part of model generation, not part of training set, not part of validation set. So this is net new data which is there. And again, once the model is generated and even the validation says yes, this model is good, I run my test data here. So again, I'll give him, let's say, information about 27, female, not married, don't have kids, 10,000 rupee, 10,000 loan. Will she pay back? If the model says yes, good, model is accurate. If the model says no, she's not going to repay, that's wrong. So accuracy of the model is bad in that case. So essentially test set is used to check the data after that. So my data is divided into training, validation and test set to generate the final model. So kind of to give you an idea, in a nutshell, what's a model, right? I have my training data, as we discussed before. I have the algorithm. Usually the data science professional will use multiple algorithms, not just one. So they might have algorithm 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Training data plus algorithm gives me models. So as you can imagine, I will probably get multiple models as well. Then I try to find out which is the best model out of that. right? And if this is the best model, I deploy it, and then the users can start sending unseen data, so new data. So in this case, new loan applications, and the model will predict if this person is likely to repay or not, and figure out if the loan should be given or not, right? So that's in a nutshell how this entire algorithm or data science lifecycle and the data nomenclature works like, right? So basically, at the end of the day, what we are doing in AI is model generation. We want to create model from the existing data which can solve our prediction problems. So in this case, what are the main types of learning algorithms that we have? Here we have three main types. First is called supervised learning. So supervised learning is something where we actually have the label data. So in this case, probably, right? So as you can see, we have the information about who took the loan, and we also know if they repaid or not. So as you can imagine, it's easier for the algorithm to learn that who should the loan given or not. So for example, I mean, I don't. I'm just giving a rough example. It might not be true, but just saying that the model might learn that people over the age of 40, for example, are more likely to repay the loan because by the time they are settled and this and that, and they can learn it because they know who repaid the loan. So if on the average people over 40 repay the loan at a higher rate, then it can learn that behavior, right? So this is called as supervised learning. So there are varieties of algorithms can be applied, and supervised learning can only be used if we have label, which means that your data has a target attribute, the attribute that you're trying to predict. Unsupervised data means I do not have a label, which means my data is not something which is kind of I don't know what's happening with the data in terms of the label. So imagine you had just started the bank, okay, and you don't have information about somebody repaid or not, repaid the loan or not. Why? Because nobody, let's say I'm a fresh bank, and so I've just given loans to 1,500 people, but it's just been 1 month, so I don't know if they will repay or not, right? So I don't have this target attribute, but I'm still trying to predict if I should give the loan to these people or not. So that would be something like unsupervised learning. So in unsupervised learning, you do not have the target attribute or the label, right? You're trying to predict without having the target attribute. So for example, let's say new iPhone is coming, right? And you're trying to predict who will buy the new iPhone. But because the iPhone is not in the market yet, nobody has bought it yet. So you're trying to predict without having a data which is labeled. You don't have users who have bought iPhone, and you're still trying to predict who will buy it. That's unsupervised learning. Then you have semi-supervised learning. In this case, some of my data would be labeled, but not everything. So example of that can be your Facebook picture. So I'm trying to detect what are the photos you have on Facebook, let's say, where you are tagged. So you might have hundreds of photographs or even thousands on Facebook where you might be present, right? But you might not tag yourself in each and every photo. So maybe you have tagged yourself in 10% of the photos, right? So maybe this photo is tagged, but this two photo, although you are present, you have not tagged. So this is called semi-supervised learning, where some of my data is labeled. So if I have a tag, if you have tagged yourself saying, hey, this is me, then that I'm sure that this photo contains your image, right? But just because there is no tag doesn't mean you are not in the picture, right? So that's called semi-supervised learning, where some of the data has a target attribute or label, and some of the data does not have a label. So there are different kinds of AI/ML algorithms. The first one is regression. Now, we will not be going in depth in this or different kinds of algorithms. We have recording for something called as Week of AI. My team will paste the link of that in the chat. So in that, we have about 2-hour sessions where we deep dive in a lot of these algorithms. I highly recommend that you watch that session. If you don't know about algorithms and want to learn about this in more details, we have a nice 2-hour sessions for that. But for this session, we're going to just mention that this is called regression. So regression tries to find a continuous value. So that means, let's say I'm a manufacturing unit, and I want to know how much data, how much production should I do, how much should I manufacture today. That's a continuous value. Today I might be, let's say, 50 ton. Tomorrow can be 60.7 ton prediction. Next day can be 40.3 ton. Right. So it's continuous value. It can be anything. That's a regression. Classification usually means that you're trying to go ahead and have there are two different kinds of this thing, and you're trying to detect based on that. So for example, if you have a two class classification, there are only, so unlike regression, it's not a continuous value. You only have two classes. So for example, the classes can be true or false, yes or no, male or female. Let's say you have, thousands of photographs, and you're trying to predict that which of them has males, which of them has females in it, right? And basically, so it can only be one or two. You can say it's male or female. You don't have a bucket called, let's say, kids, right? Or dogs or cats. So you're not trying to find all the items inside that photo. You're just two classes, male and female, right? Or whether the tweet is positive or negative, or will the customer renew the service or not. So this is yes, this is no, which means the customer is not likely to renew the service. So which coupon draws most customers, right? So there's called a two class classification. Similarly, there could be a multi-class classification. So you could have multiple things as well. So for example, instead of tweet is positive or negative, can be what is the mood of the tweet. So it can be, let's say, happy, nervous, excited, sad, angry, right? There could be varieties of emotions that the tweet can be labeled off. Or which service will customer choose? So you could have multiple services, let's say. So as I'm sure a lot of you use Netflix. Netflix has varieties of plans. So you want to predict, given characteristics of a person, which Netflix plan will he choose, right? So that's also multi-class classification, right? So that's classification in a nutshell. And then regression is supervised, classification is supervised, a very popular algorithm for classification in decision trees, right? In the URL that was the week of AI URL that my team sent, we actually dig deep into each and every one of these. Then we have clustering, which is unsupervised algorithm. Here a very popular algorithm is called k-means, and we have neural networks. So neural networks are extremely popular nowadays, and this is an algorithm which is used for some really smart things like image recognition, language recognition, language translation. That's the neural network, that algorithm which is used, right? So these are generic. Like I said, I'm not going to go into too much depth. Also, at the end of this, we will share the link with you, which is something called as MS Learn, Microsoft Learn link, where they go deep into a lot of these concepts, and you can also read about this. The book that we have just shared, the mock, that also has a lot of information on this. So you might further want to read that and learn more. Okay, so now let's look at the Microsoft AI platform, right? What are we going to learn in these 3 modules on the Microsoft AI? So the first is the Azure AI services, of course, here. And in that, we have 3 kind of main components to it. The first one is called pre-built AI, right? So this is the Azure Cognitive Services Cloud plus Edge. So the pre-built AI means, as we saw in the previous few slides, that we have to create a model to consume it. In the pre-built AI, the model is already created by Microsoft experts, and we just use it. So this is our first topic that we're going to learn. So, it's coming right up. Next, we have the custom AI, right? So this is where you want to create your own model. For whatever reason, you don't want to use the pre-built AI because, it can only do a certain set of things. You want to do something which the pre-built AI cannot do. Then you want your custom AI. You want to create your own models, and you want to deploy your own models. That's where the Azure Machine Learning Service comes. And that's the module number 2 that we're going to be learning just a little bit after the module number 1, right? And the last is conversational AI. So this is where you have your bot services and your smart conversational AI tools like Lewis and Q&A Maker and you can create really, really smart and sophisticated bots in just a few minutes. So in 45-minute session, the last third session today, you're going to be able to see how to create bots. So that's in a nutshell what you're going to learn in this particular session, right? You also have, if for example you want to dig deep into it, the Azure infrastructure has a lot of components, especially on data and compute, where you can just go ahead and use bits and pieces of that and create your own infrastructure as well for AI/ML. This is a little bit more, I would say, advanced, right? And for very customized use case that you can use it. Next, we have set of tools. So here we have something like as Azure ML for VS Code. VS Code being the most popular IDE on the planet. It's available on for Windows, for Linux, and for Mac, all three, right? And then you have the drag and drop designer. We have this coming in module number 2, and automated ML as well, which is coming in module number 2 today. So that's something that we're going to learn, all three of them. And then they also have a lot of deep learning frameworks. So let's say you are really into AI/ML and you don't really want to use the services available. You want to create your own platform. Then there is Cognitive Toolkit and literally all third-party popular libraries you can think of, like TensorFlow, Cafe, Keras, and so forth, right? Scikit-learn. Everything is available on the Azure platform. And then you have the responsible machine learning as the base of it, right? We want to make sure that we are doing responsible machine learning, and we talk about this a little bit about this as well in the last section. Okay, so now let's jump right into the first deep dive, which is the Azure Cognitive Services. So essentially, what's a cognitive service is, it's a pre-built AI, right? So basically we have, for a lot of things, we want to create apps. These apps might have requirement for some really, really smart, smartness in the apps. And it's a very common thing. So for example, let's say you want to create, so every day, millions of people go to work, right? And most of the doors have a badge scanner, right? So somebody will come, walk at the door and go ahead and scan the badge. And after scanning the badge, they will go inside. What if I have a camera here, right? And this camera is the one which takes a photograph and checks the emotion of the person scanning the badge. Is he happy? Is he sad? Is he angry? Right? And the company might be able to predict, or might be able to see what if there's something wrong with the company, everybody's looking sad, then the HR should know about it, right? So here, to create an application like that, we need to have image recognition or image analysis to figure out if an image has a face, and in the face, what is the emotion in the face. Now for something like that, to build from scratch, to create a model like that, which can predict emotions of a people from a face, would take at least a year, if not years, right? But there is already a API for that in Vision, and you can use that API to automatically detect the emotions of a person. So pre-built AI basically gives you a pre-built model, expose that APIs. All you have to do is call the API and get the response back saying, okay, what is the emotion of this person? So similarly, you have a lot of different ones. First is the Vision. And in Vision, you can see that we have a lot of APIs inside of the Vision. So the first is computer vision, which gives you a generic view. So you can pass an image and you get back metadata about the image, what is in the image, if the image has a laptop, if the image has a human, if the image has a train, it gives you back the metadata of the image to you. Then you have the face API. Here we actually go ahead and have you send an image there. If there's a face in the image, it will go ahead and give you back the emotions in the face. Or if somebody's angry, sad, if the person is human, if it's a male or female, if they're wearing makeup or not, right? So all this rich information about the face is given to me by the face API. All I have to do is give the image to the API. It gives me back a JSON with all this information. Then you have image recognizer. So this is something where, as you can see, I'm typing with a virtual pen on an electronic medium, right? So I have a pad, I'm writing on the pad, A, B, C, D, right? And you can see it is going to reflect it on the screen. So image ink recognizer. Now, as you can see, if I probably write on a paper and with a pen, my handwriting will be not similar. It will be very different compared to what it is seen over here. So essentially, ink recognizer can recognize image, shapes, and so forth written on digital medium. Video indexer can be used for getting information about a video. So let's say you had a video over here and you want to figure out who's inside the video, if there's somebody popular, if there are any brands in the video, what are the emotions in the video, right? So something like that can be done with a video indexer. Custom vision API lets you create your own custom. So for example, let's say we have a construction site and we want to see if one of the worker is not wearing a helmet. So what I can do is I can have a camera, right? The camera can take a photo, but helmet might not be something which is recognized by standard APIs. So I can actually I can give 100 images to custom vision where people are wearing helmets, tag them, and then it trains automatically to start recognizing helmet. So now if I have a photograph where I have, let's say, two people, one is wearing a helmet and one is not wearing a helmet, this can recognize that, oh, this is I see as a potential breach of security policy, somebody is not wearing a helmet. So that's kind of custom vision. You can make it learn things which is not part of the standard thing that computer vision and face can recognize. So custom vision is for that. And form recognizer can recognize things like PDFs and bills and give you metadata. So instead of just running a quick OCR, right, you actually go ahead and see what's inside that. So for example, if you give a bill, it can tell you here's the total amount of the bill. It gives you information on what is the tax rate and things like that. So it's a very great service for that. And I think this will make a lot more sense once you actually go ahead and see a demo. So without further ado, Anjali, can I please request you to go ahead and show a demo for the computer vision cognitive services?
So thank you, Bhavesh. So before starting with the demo of computer vision, let me quickly introduce you with one of the interesting application, the intelligent kiosk. So actually this kiosk is a toolbox of AI demos which has collection of several end-to-end experiences showcasing the power of Microsoft AI, and you can find this application in the Windows Store. So from there it's available for PC, mobile devices and hub. So I will send the link on the chat window from where you can download this application. So this is the kiosk application, and here you are seeing that in the demo gallery the number of demos are available, right? For the vision, decision and search, language and speech, right? So let me go to the vision section, and here I will select the vision API Explorer. So here you are seeing that there are some sample images available. So you can test this API by using this sample images, or you can select from your local file, or also if you want you can capture from your webcam. Plus there is one add-on features available in the intelligent kiosk. You can use the Bing search as well to search the images from the internet. So let me select anyone from the sample. So I selected this. Now in the right corner you will find the summary, faces, objects and the text sections. With that you will find there are some descriptions available. People walking on a subway platform with having 32% confidence, right? And apart from that there is the color section where it's saying that the background color is black, the foreground is black, dominant is black and the accent is blue. So you can see something interesting. So you can use this metadata, the color factor, for performing any hyper personalized, right? So it's like, let's suppose the user is more interested on the blue color, right? So you can take their experience. Why? Because you know that that's what driving their actions, right? So accordingly you can send them the recommendation, the pictures, the images, right? From that there is the tag section which is saying that there is train with having 97% confidence, platform 97% confidence, right? Station 86% confidence, and there is no face detected, so the section, so it's none. And then there are some three objects detected. So let me go to the face section, and here there is no celebrity and no faces has been detected, so it's blank. Now let me go to the object. So it's like three objects are being detected: the person and the subway train, with having 78, 79 and 81% confidence, right? So apart from that there are some text. So let's see. Okay, so this is the text, it has been detected. Yeah. So this is how this API, the Vision API Explorer, is performing the analysis of the images, whatever there in the images, including the text, faces, object, right? It's giving you a metadata accordingly. So definitely one question is coming on your mind that we have used this on the intelligent kiosk. What if we want to use it on our application, on our AI application, right? How we're gonna use this API to our code? So for that, I have something for you. So let me go to the Visual Studio Code. So this is the Visual Studio Code, and here actually I'm running the notebook server here, right? I'm running the Jupyter notebook server here. So I will send the link on the chat window and on the go-dos, that how you will create your own notebook by using the Visual Studio Code, right? So here I am on the Jupyter notebook, right? And in this section actually I am performing the image analysis with the computer vision service. When I go down, I need to create one cognitive service first, right? I need to create the cognitive service first, and I need the keys and the endpoint here, right? So I will paste the keys and the endpoint here. So to create the service, let me go to the Azure portal. So I will go here, right? So this is the Azure portal, portal.azure.com. So I will copy and paste the link in the chat window. So I hope you have done with the setup of Azure account, and you must have an active subscription to create any Azure services. So to check out your active subscription, you only just have to go here, search for the subscription, and then you will find your active subscription here. If you are not able to see your subscription, simply check or uncheck this. I will create the cognitive service. So I will click here, then create a resource and search for cognitive service in the marketplace. Right, so here it is. Okay, so I am on this blade. So you will find that there are some informations available along with the link. So let me click on create. Now here I will create new resource group. Select your active subscription and then select the required field, which is region, and I will select the East US 2 and give the name to your cognitive service. Make sure that this name is unique in that particular region. So you will find the tick mark over here, right? So I got this. Let me select the pricing tier standard as 0 and then checking this box. And if you want to add the tags, you can add, otherwise simply click review plus create. So it will perform the final validation, and then the create button get enabled. So again you have to click on create, and then the deployment will get initialized. So it's done. Let me go to the resource here, right? So I'm on the newly created cognitive service. Now here in the resource management section, there is the keys and the endpoint. So I will go to this and then copy the key and paste it there in the Visual Studio. Right now, let me again copy the endpoint and will paste it there. Okay, now let's run this. So to run the cell, either you can click on this or simply click shift plus enter. Right, so ready to use the cognitive service at this particular endpoint using this key. Okay, now my next step is I will install the Python module. Which module? Azure Cognitive Services Vision Computer Vision. Right, so I will install one computer vision Python module. So now when I will go down in this code snippet, the analysis of the image is happening, right? So let's check out the code snippet. So on the very first line, first the computer vision client module has been called from the azure.cognitiveservices.vision.computer library, right? And then we are calling this cognitive services credential module from msres.authentication, right? And then we are importing the vision file from the Python code directory. This vision.py file, right? After that, we are applying the matplotlib, and here in this line, we are getting the path of the image from data vision, this store camp1.jpg file. So if you check out this here in the section data and then the vision, there is the store camp1.jpg file. So this is the part that's calling here. Now in this section again, computer vision client object is being called with having argument cog endpoint and the keys, right? So we have stored the value in the computer vision client, right? Now here this line, right? This line is actually performing the AI for you. This line is actually giving you the description about the images, right? So this is the only line which is the AI here. Rest of the lines are simple the Python code, right? So why I'm saying this, because even this line, this vision here, the show image caption function is being called from the vision.py file, right? So when I will click on this vision.py file, there is show image caption, right, where it's saying that if the caption is being detected, give the format this, otherwise no caption detected, right? So it's calling this function here. So that's why I'm saying here in this particular code snip, only this line is the AI here which is performing, which is giving you the description about the images. And the description is a woman is holding a phone with confidence 37.87%, right? So again let me select some another image. So here the another image is here, and again the API is being called, and now the description is a person holding a cell phone with confidence 32.36%, right? So now what if you want to add some further features into it, like you want to add the text, right, or you want the emotions of the person who are there in the images, right? So to add on these features, you just simply have to mention some few lines. So let me go down. So here again, if you check out this code snippet, again this storecamp.jpg file has been called. Right now here in the features section, I have described the descriptions, tags, adult objects, and the faces, right? And then here the analysis of the image is happening, right? So the computer vision client is called, and then the analysis of the image is happening, and then here it is, right? So you will find that again the description is there, a woman holding a phone, and then the tags are there including the person, text, clothing, woman, smile, store, shop, right? So in that way you can add further more things into it if you want to find out the emotions of the person, or you want to add the tags into it, right? So yeah, this is how you can use the computer vision to your code. Over to you, Bhavish. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjali. A great demo for the Vision API. The next API is the Speech API. So, like Vision, speech also has a lot of different APIs. So, speech translation, speech recognition, speech to text, and text to speech. So, probably it's very easy for you to, be able to understand what these are. This translates speech in various languages. Speech recognition, speaker recognition recognizes who the speaker are. So, imagine that you want a system where it is activated only by the voice of the owner, right? And so you can use something like this for that. Speech to text converts audio, like what I'm speaking right now, to text, and text to speech converts written text to audio images, right? So very easy to understand. I think a demo will make more sense. So what you're going to do is just go ahead and quickly see a demo for speech APIs.
Okay, so thank you, Bhavish. So now let's check out the demo for the speech API. So again, I am on the intelligent kiosk, and there, when I will go down, there is one section called language and speech. So there are like almost 9 demos available. So I will select speech to text explorer here, right? So actually this API speech to text explorer is, it's like whatever you will speak, it perform the real time translation into the language whatever you have chosen, right? So let me first select the English and we'll try to say something. Hey, how are you? How is the weather today? Right, so here you are seeing that whatever I am saying, the real time translation is happening. So let me try to add some furthermore translation. So I will select French and click again. Hey, how are you? How is the weather today? Right? So this is how, like, if you want, you can select any other language. So there are many translations available like German, Italian, Japanese. So you can select any of these and you can perform your translation from speech to text. So over to you, Bhavish. Thank you.
Great demo, Anjali. Thank you. And now the next API is the language API. So, like vision and speech, language also has varieties of different APIs we can call. Easiest to understand probably is the text analytics, which can give you insights into the text. So, for example, we can take a tweet, pass it to text analytics, and this will tell us if it's a positive tweet or negative tweet, whether there is, what's the sentiment in the text, right? So that's easy to find. Language understanding, Lewis, is called Lewis, gives you context of the action. So we'll talk a little bit more about Lewis in the third section. Translated text, translate text from one language to the other. So for example, from English to Spanish, Spanish to English, and so forth. Immersive reader gives you, it's a really nice one where basically you can get a more in-depth, more immersive viewing experience for some of your devices, right? So without further ado, let's look at a demo for the language API.
All right, so thank you, Bhavish. Let's check out the demo for language API. So again, I will go to the section language and speech. And here there is one API, the text analytics explorer. So let me click on this. And here, right, there are some sample availables, including the Contoso, Microsoft. So here, if you check out this, the analysis of the content is the language is being detected English with having 100% confidence, and there are some key phrases which is extracted from the content: place, online menu, great menu, marvelous food, right? So apart from that, there is the overall sentiment. So actually there is a mixed sentiment, 86% positive and 14% negative, right? So some aspects are there, like the Azure is positive, marvelous is positive, right? So these are some positive word which it has been detected. And apart from that, this API is also extract the entities. Entities as in the location, or you can say the date time here, right? So here it has selected two entities, the location and the date time, and accordingly there are something like one, two, three location are there, right, in the content. And the date time, one date time is here, right? So accordingly you can call the entities as well. With the entities, either you can search in the Wikipedia, or you can redirect to some other website which has that similar content related to that particular entities, right? So if you want, you can select any a sample from here, or you know what, let me copy and paste some another content here. Okay, so let me do the analysis. So here you found that the language detected is English with 99% confidence, and there are some key phrases. And apart from that, the sentiment is 100% negative. So as I have selected the some politics type article, so it's saying that the sentiment is negative. And apart from that, there are some entities for the date, time, skill, organizations, right? So this, and here in the JSON section, this is the metadata which exactly you are seeing here in the analyze text section, right? So here if you want to use this metadata in the JSON format, you can use it like this. So with this sentiment, the positive and negative, right? Let's suppose you are an organization who have the Twitter account, right? And you have the Twitter handling team who is handling the request, right? So when you will use this text analytics API, right? It's like you have made the application something like this, that whenever the positive tweet is coming, send them the greet or send them the proper response. Or if there is any negative tweet is coming, right, or if there is any negative sentiment you will find, then send it to your Twitter handling team, right? So these are some scenarios where you can use this as sentiment. So over to you, Bhavesh. Thank you.
Once again, great demo. Thanks, Anjali. And with that, we're going to start our Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask the questions via the chat, and our team will be happy to answer to you via the chat, right? So ask your question. I'm going to put myself on mute and let my team answer hundreds of questions. It's great. We see a lot of participation, a lot of questions being asked. So we're going to go ahead and answer all of your questions individually. So please ask away all the questions. And more importantly, please go ahead and redeem your MOC and your Azure account. So as I have shown the demo, you can go to this URL, right? ms.clouder.com/AI for students. And my team has also pasted this in the chat, so you can pick it up from there as well. Click on that, and like the demo I have shown, go ahead and redeem your MOC, Microsoft Official Curriculum, which will help you in preparing post this session for the AI 900 certification and also for the assessment. and also it will give you an Azure account where you can do a lot of the demos that Anjali showed. You can do all of that using the Azure account that you'll have, right? So please go ahead and do that. So with that, I'm going to put myself on mute and go and answer all the questions via chat. So please keep the questions coming. We have hundreds of them. We are really loving it. So please keep the questions coming. With that, putting myself on mute and answering questions. I'll be back in 10 minutes.
In his language, not in your language. Say something about देखो तुम लाइन बोल के बताओ जल्दी से क्या पढ़ ले हाँ बताओ गए क्या पढ़ ले बताओ तुम लाइन what look at this stop it अरे फालतू चीज देखा था अभी कुछ देखा था पढ़ाई करता बोला था ये नहीं ऑपरेशन कहां से बोले आई
ना आई
ऑपरेशन के समय बोलत नहीं खे
हम तो ये बते ये यही से उठ के जैसे चल गनी कहीं हमरा बहुत गुस्सा आवत रहला
बोले के ना रहे वो कंप्यूटर के जो लोन
बोले कि ना रहे बिना बोल दे होला
हाँ
का बोले से बताओ हमें तो लाइन तब
ठीक
एक लाइन बताओ हमरे कि का बोल रहा
कापी ले लो किताब ले लो
का बोला सुना ना
हमें याद
चल के दांत भी सता
हमें याद है कि दादी हमें
मेरा याद नहीं है देखो अब वो फिर इंट्रोडक्शन भी नहीं किया
तब का पढ़
काम चीज पढ़ रहा तू क्या पढ़ रहा
हमें के कंप्यूटर
कौन चीज पढ़ रहा ना ना बाबू आज के एग्जाम से क्लास से कुछ ना मिलेगा
अंदर के
एक्सप्लेन करे के पड़ेगा
आखिर हम लड़ाई हो जाला आखिर हम बोले नहीं कभी कभी गाली काहे का देते मैंने श्राप काहे का देते
AI and the fears and uncertainties around AI and acceptability of AI. Now, as you all know, AI has brought revolution in almost everything in our life. Why only life? It's culture, environment, everything. We will see more and more coming in the near future. Now, AI will be infused in almost everything we see and do. For example, improve decision making, increase automation, enhance user experience, improve product quality, reduce operational cost, enhance customer satisfaction, or retain customers. One of the most recent examples, I would not try to say most common examples, is usage of chatbots in customer service. Now, we have seen it in airlines, retail industry, and many more. Almost all airlines have now chatbots for their customer services. Now, another one is recommendation engines. Now, recommendation engines are really popular in retail industry, and the same is true in education sector as well. Now, knowing the power of AI, we are seeing a lot of fear of AI as well. Now, will robots take away our jobs? Will IT support engineers, teachers, doctors, jobs will get curtailed? As there are fears, we also see a lot of uncertainties with AI. Do we get the right accuracy required from our AI application? Are the recommendations shown correct and will help drive revenue enhancement? If the accuracy is not correct, instead of improving this customer satisfaction, it can actually degrade it. It can increase the churn if an AI chatbot becomes irritating. Now, in fact, due to these uncertainties, some industries are not able to adopt AI. Of course, the acceptability of AI is very high in some industries, but some are lagging behind. Many students actually who have actually come to me, they're confused about what they should study or learn to do well in AI. Let's discuss a little bit on that. And for that, let's see that how do we actually start working on AI projects. Uh, so when we talk about AI infusion, it has got several steps. The first one is the idea generation or the use case development. Usually, this comes from the domain knowledge. None of the AI projects will work well without domain knowledge. So, your domain knowledge will be always required. Don't neglect your stream of engineering or studies, it will be always required. Second, when it comes to data, it might be collect data, cleanse data, it could be data storage, building data warehouse, data lakes, and other data engineering work. Now, of course, now various tools and technologies are available to make our life simpler, such as Azure. And you will be learning more in the following sessions. With all that, it's very important to know one more aspect, that is the security and the legal aspects of the data. And that cannot be neglected. So that is also another area which you cannot neglect. The third, it will come that when you are trying to build the models or you are trying to build the ML models. Now, choosing the right algorithms, whether you want to choose from the open source products or you can use the SaaS based ML engines and API services or products like Azure. So, and finally, the integration and improving the acceptability. Now, this is done through model testing and continuous learning without spoiling customer satisfaction. We also need to ensure that the best practices from ethical AI are also taken into consideration so that we can safeguard against biases. Now, going back to the question, what to do next, how to move forward and do well in AI projects. Now, let me tell you that once you have done your learning and certifications, spend a good amount of time in participating in open challenges in sites like Topcoder. There are sites where you can not only learn and do hands-on exercises, but also can participate in open challenges. Now, this also helps improve your experience and enhance your resume. As we discussed earlier, some of these sectors are slower than others. During this time, utilize your time in picking up some challenges and prepare yourself for the future. Thank you very much.
All right. So with that, let's begin with the module number 2. So in the previous module, we saw a little bit about how the the fundamentals of the life cycle of a data science project. We talked about some of the algorithms and some data nomenclature. And then we went ahead and had some great demos on cognitive services. Now, cognitive services is pre-built AI, right? But for a lot of use cases, we might not have a model generated in cognitive services. So for that, we need to create our own models. And how do we create our own models? Through the Microsoft, Azure Machine Learning Service. And here we're going to talk about two main things: Visual Designer and Automated Machine Learning, where with some drag and drop functionalities, you can create some really sophisticated models. So let's jump right into it. So as we had discussed in the previous section, right, that Microsoft has a varieties of tools and techniques available for you to be able to do your AI ML. In the previous one, we talked about the pre-built AI, right? And this is custom AI, where what pre-built AI cannot solve, we try to go ahead and do that with the custom AI. So let's have a quick introduction to an Azure service called Azure Machine Learning Service, which lets us create our own model. Okay. Okay. So let's see what problems can we solve with machine learning service, without having to write a lot of code. So imagine that you want to create a model, right? And this model should be able to predict what is the worth of a car, a used car. So imagine, as you can imagine, right, let's say this is a car, and this car has, if it's let's say 5-year-old, and has 50,000 kilometers on the odometer, right? Its initial price, for example, if the make is, let's say Maruti or BMW or something like that, right? So depending on all these parameters, depending on how many years old it is, how many kilometers, what is the make, what is model, and so forth, you pass it to the model that we have, right? And the machine learning model will give us the estimated price of this car, that what is the actual at what price approximately you can buy the car or sell the car. So we want to create a model like that. And there is some open source data sets available in the Azure data sets where you can download the data sets. And now we want to create a model. So as you can understand, this model is not available in cognitive services. We don't have an API to predict the price of a car. So in this case, we'll have to create our own model and deploy it to be able to find the price of the car. So that's the functionality we want to do. And it is extremely easy. So before we go into a lot of technical details and theory, I want to show you a quick demo of how easy it is from the data set to create a model which can predict the price of a used car. So I'm going to pass it on to Anjali, who's going to take it on and show us a demo of Azure Machine Learning Service. It's called the Designer, right? So Designer lets you drag and drop to create a model for any of your use case. So Anjali, over to you. Let's see the demo.
So to work with the machine learning designer, we first have to create one machine learning service in the Azure portal, right? So to create the machine learning service, first you have to search for machine learning in the search bar and then click on add. You will be on this blade. Now here select your active subscription and then create new resource group. So if you have any existing resource group, you can select that as well. Okay, so now let me give a name to my workspace. Right, so when you find this tick mark, means this name is available in the region, and we'll select the region East US. After that, simply review and create. Right, so once the final validation will happen, the create button will get enabled, and after that click on create and then the deployment will get initialized. So for now I'm not creating the machine learning workspace because I already have one. So let me go to my already existing machine learning. Okay, so here it is. So you found that along with the workspace, there are application inside, the key vault and the storage account resources are also being created, right? So let me click on machine learning service, and here you will find in the overview blade the launch button, right? So when you click on this launch button, it will let you on the next tab where the machine learning studio will get open. All right, so here we are on Machine Learning Studio. Now we'll go to the designer. So as Bhavesh discussed, we are going to create one machine learning model which will do the prediction of a price based on a car make and technical specifications, right? So if you want, you can create the new pipeline as well, or let me select the sample one. So here are some samples available. So if you want to learn more about the machine learning designer, you want to do a more practice into it, you can pick up any one of the sample from here. So let me select this. So here you will find some of the modules, right? Like automobile price data, select column in data set. So these modules are nothing but the modules which you are seeing here in the left corner, right? So all of this module will be available here. So if you want to search for this module, simply search by their name, right? Simply search for their by their name and then drag and drop and then connect with the next module. That's it, right? Select column in data set, drag and drop, and then connect this, right? So this is what the functionality of the machine learning designer, which without using any code, we are going to create one ML model. So let me delete this and let's check this out. So here, if you check out this data set and right click on this and then visualize the data set output, so you will find an visualization with having rows and columns. So there are like 205 rows and 26 columns, right? And here in this section you will find normalized losses have more number of missing values. Apart from that, there are some missing values and some rows as well. So in the next step, we are going to remove these rows and the column which have some missing values. So then here in the select column, we are excluding the normalized losses here. So to do that, click on edit column and then you will be on this blade where you have to select the width rules, right? And then include all columns and then click on add. After that, exclude by the column names and we are selecting the normalized losses, right? And then simply click on save. Okay, now let me go here and we'll try to run this. So to run this experiment, we first have to create one compute target, right? So let me try to submit it. So it will ask me to create one compute target. So you might not have any compute target. So to create the compute target, click on create new and give the name to your compute target, right? And simply click save, right? So it will take some time to create. So I already have one. So let me select this and then click save. Now again I am clicking on this submit button and here I have to create new experiment and then submit. Okay, so it's done. You will find the completed mark here, right? So there might be the case that it will take some time for you because that will depend on the compute target size. So let me check the output for this. Visualize and then result data set. Okay, so here now you are seeing that the column has become 25 and the normalized losses has been removed. Okay, now apart from that, again there are some missing values in the rows. So you might not find like this, but there are some missing values in the rows. So in the next step, we are removing the missing values. If there is any missing values in the row, then remove it, right? So see, if there is any missing values or the outliers, right, you might be not getting the best model out of it. You will not get the best prediction out of it. So it must be necessary to remove any missing values or the outliers. Okay, so for removing the values from the missing rows, you have to drag and drop the clean missing data module. And when you click on this, here you have to select the cleaning mode, remove the entire row. Okay, so till here we are done with the data set. So now then the data is ready. Actually, a constructive predictive model actually consists of training and the testing data set, right? So now in the next step, we are going to split our data set into two set, one for the training set and another for the testing set, right? So here we are giving 70% of the data to the training set and rest 30% to the testing set. So here you are seeing that the fraction is 0.7, means 70% to the training set and the 30% to the testing set, right? So let me close this. And once you have splitted your data set, you have to apply the linear regression. Now you have to search for the linear regression module and then drag and drop here. Why we need this linear regression module? Because we are going to predict the price of a car, which is nothing but the number, right? So in that case, we'll use the regression algorithm. So after that, you have to search for this train model and then drag and drop it here. Now I'm connecting the 70% of the data to the trained model, and then with the left input port I'm connecting the linear regression, right? So here you have to select for the target column. So here our target column is price, so we'll select the target column price. All right, so after that, once your model is being trained, what we'll do, we'll call the score model. So the score model is nothing but it will give you the prediction value, right? So now rest 30% of the testing data set we are giving to the score model. So let's check out the output of this. So we'll have to first submit it. Okay, so it's completed. Now let's check out the output for the score model. Right click on this and then visualize the score data set here. Okay, so here you will see that along with the column, right, along with the column of price, there is one scored level as well. So this price column is the known value and the scored level is the predicted value. So if you compare this, you will find the values are exactly same. So it's like 10,000 and then 9,600, 5,900, 6,300, right? So the values are almost same here. After that, if you want, you can remove the price column as well. It's your choice, right? So till here we get the predicted values. Let's evaluate our result, right? So we'll do the final evaluation by calling the evaluate module. So we'll visualize the data here. Okay, so now here you will see the output. Like, let me click on this. So you found that the mean absolute error here is 177, the root mean squared error 2461, right? The relative absolute error 0.389 and the coefficient 0.86, right? So you will find all this value which has like average of absolute error related to the difference between the actual values and the overall of all actual values, right? So here with the coefficient of determination, it's like more close the value is with 1, the better is your prediction. Okay, so here the value is 0.86. Yeah, so this is the evaluation what we have done for our machine learning model. And also make a note of this RMSE error, which is 2461. We'll check out this result on our next demo. Over to you, Bhavesh. Thank you.
All right. So you saw great demo, Anjali. You saw how easy it is for you without having to write a single line of code to get your data, right? And from data, go ahead and create the model for regression model to find the value of the car. But now the issue with the that a lot of data scientists face, right? It's that most of the times we don't want to create one model. So what Anjali has done is she has created one model using the designer now, and she used regression, right? So like that you can use a lot of things. You can use decision forest, right? You can use neural networks, and you have hundreds of algorithms that you can use to create hundreds of such models. Now for that, in the designer I'll have to create 100 such pipelines. Then there's something called as hyperparameter values. So for all the algorithms there are a lot of configuration parameters which I can change, and when I change it, sometimes I get better results than the other. So imagine if I had 100 algorithms I want to try, and each of them had, let's say, about 50 parameters. I end up running my experiment for 5,000 times before I find the best model, right? So how do I actually, so automated machine learning, right, in Azure machine learning helps you with this problem. What it does is that it actually goes ahead and lets me figure out, let's say, in the what are the features which are the most useful, right? Which is the algorithm which is better, and which parameters to use. So if you take all of the combination of that, you probably have thousands of different combinations of that. In automated machine learning, you can actually, give all the information, pick what you want to do, and it automatically creates different runs with different set of parameters. So you can imagine that in this one, the algorithm can be neural network, in this one it can be decision tree, in this one it can be decision forest, other regression, this is it, with different parameter set, and essentially it gives you what is the, let's say if you are in this case we wanting the value of the car. So the parameters that we will have to use could be something like root mean square error, which is which is what we optimize for regression, right? And if it's something like classification, we have accuracy. So we figure it out. So it runs thousands of this different combinations and give us the ones which is the best. So according to it, it is saying that the combination of this particular one, right, which is number 4, is giving me the best outcome. It's giving me the best accuracy. Correct. So like that, you can choose what you want to optimize for, and it automatically does all this combination for you, right? So it saves. In my college days, when I was, this is about 20 years ago, when I was in my master's, to do something like this would have taken me an entire semester, because I'd have to manually do different runs, note down parameters in a notebook, and at the end of the semester, I would have found out the best model, right? This now can literally take 10 minutes. So without further ado, over to Anjali to show us the demo for machine learning, automated machine learning, to see how that behaves. And again, it's fully automated with drag and drop. And we can, the same exercise that we did earlier, which is we try to find the price of the car, right, used car. But we just did one algorithm. In this one, Anjali will be using, many different algorithms, and it will still run automatically, give us the best model. So over to you, Anjali.
Thank you, Bhavesh. So now we'll look out the demo for the automated ML. So if you remember earlier, we have created the ML model to predict the price of a car based on the make and technical specification. Now here again we are creating the same model but by using the automated ML, right? So to create the automated ML, what we have to do, you have to be on this machine learning studio, right? So here in the machine learning studio, you will find this automated ML. So click on it and then click on new automated ML run. And here we'll create one data set, right? So when you click on this, you will find these options, local files, or you want to take data from data store or web files or open data sets, right? So I'm selecting the from local files. So I will upload the CSV file locally from my PC. And here you have to give the name to your data set, right? And then give the description if you want. And leave the everything default and click next. Now here select the default workspace blob store and browse your local CSV file. So I will send this automobile price data raw file on the chat window, and also you will get the link on the Godus as well. So select your CSV file and then click next. So once the upload will be 100%, then you will be on next plate. So here now I am on settings and preview. So in this plate, what you have to do, you have to leave all the settings default and select the column headers. All files have same headers here, right? So when you select this, you will find all of this rows and the columns, right? So again, if you check out this, the normalized losses has a more number of missing values, correct? So then simply click next. And here is the schema. This schema is nothing but the rows and the column. So here I am excluding the normalized losses, and when you go down here you will find the price column. So the price column is a string here, so we have to change the price column from string to integer. Why? Because we have to apply the regression, and the regression is only applied for the numeric values, right? So I selected the integer. Now click next and simply click create, right? So once you will create this, you will find your data set ready. So I'm not creating it for now because I already have one. So once your data set will get created, you will find your data set here in the list. So once it's ready, click on this and then click next. And then here, if you have any existing experiment, you can select the existing or you can create the new one as well, right? So I'm selecting the existing one, and here we have to select the target column price, right? So here you have to select the target column price, and after that here you have to select your compute target. So let's suppose you want to create new compute target. In that case, what you have to do, you have to first select the size. So you can select either a DS1 V2 or a DS13 V2, and simply click next and give the name to your compute target. And make this one minimum number of node 1 and maximum number of node 2. Leave this ideal second before scale down 120 and then click create, right? So it will take 2 to 3 minutes to create. So again, I'm not creating it, I already have one. So I will select this compute cluster and then click next. Now here in the select task type, you have to select the regression to predict the continuous numeric value, right? So we are applying the regression, and if you want to add some additional configuration over here, so here in the primary metrics, select normalized root mean square, and then make sure this explain best model is enabled, and then here in the exit criteria on give 1, which means if a criteria is met, the training job is stopped, and leave this metric score threshold none, and then here in the validation type, select the train validation split, and here I will give 30. It means I'm giving 30% of data for the validation purpose. And then comes the concurrency. So here I'm giving a 3. So this concurrency is the maximum number of parallel iteration executed per iteration, right? So once you are done with the setting, click save and then click on finish, right? So once you will click on finish, right, you will find the run station running, and then it will take something like 20 to 25 minutes to prepare the experiment run for you. So once running, it takes 2 to 3 minutes for each of the iteration. So periodically you have to click on refresh button to check the status of run as the experiment is in progress. So I already created one because it will take something like 20 to 25 minutes to complete. So here I'm selecting the one which I already created. So here you will find all the descriptions, properties like when it has been created, when it started, and what all task type we are using, and what is the best model summary for this automated ML, right? So the best model is the voting assemble, and if you want to view the metrics of that, click on this and you will find the metrics of that, the mean absolute error, the absolute percentage error, right? So if you have remembered, I asked you to remember the value for root mean squared error in the earlier demo. So there the value is 2416 and here the value is 1974, which means the error is less compared to the ML designer, right? So the automated ML is giving you the best prediction model compared to the ML designer, right? So here, let me close this, and then, so if you want to check the models, how many models it has created, so you will find all the models here. So you can go one by one to each model and you can check out the metrics. So here for the best model, you are seeing this view explanations. So we have enabled the explanation for the best model, that's why we are getting this. So let me click on this and it will let me on the explanation blade. So basically here you will find two features, the global importance and the local feature importance. So here local measures focus on the contribution of features for a specific prediction, whereas the global measures take all predictions into the account, right? So here if I decrease the top k features from 8 to 6, you will find the top 6 values which affect the price of a car, right? So with that, if I select the any one of the point from the summary importance, so I will find the local features of it, right? I will find the local features of it. So then we have a metrics section here. So here in the metrics section, you will find the chart and the table. So there are, if you want to add the mean absolute error, or you want to add the root mean square log error, right? Or you want to add the median absolute error, you can add it here. So you will find the chart for all of this. Apart from that, if you want to change from chart to table, you can do it here, right? So then we have outputs and logs. So here you will find all the logs file, including the model.pkl file, the pkl file of all the models. So now once this automated machine learning is done with the prediction, have given you the best model, this automated machine learning also allow you to deploy the best model as a web service in a few click. So to do that, to do the deployment, here you will find this deploy button. So click on this deploy, and then here you have to give the name for your deployment, give the description whatever you want, and then here select the compute type as your container instance and simply click deploy. So it will create one endpoint for you. So let me go to that endpoint. So this is the endpoint. So once your deployment is succeeded, right, you will find this tick mark here. So let me click on this deployment endpoint, and here you will find the rest endpoint and the swagger URI. So these are the endpoint in which you can send your data, and this rest endpoint will send you the output as a predicted value. So this is all about the automated ML. Over to you, Bhavesh. Thank you.
Great demo, Anjali. So next, so now that with automated machine learning or with designer, you have created a model. Now we want to deploy the model. Deployment means that your model is great. You put it somewhere where now your users, right? Whether users can be using devices or machines or something, can call your model and ask for prediction. That's the meaning of a deployment of a model, that now your model is in production where people are using it, right? So in the machine learning service, you can deploy the model in a Docker image in an Azure container instance. So this is actually Docker is something where, instead of running an entire virtual machine, it's in a very, very layman's language. It's a micro virtual machine where you don't have a lot of shenanigans. We can deploy very easily, very fast. You can also deploy in AKS, which is Azure Kubernetes Service. So Kubernetes, as you know, it's a cluster which can have many, many nodes, and you can deploy in that as well. You can deploy in Azure IoT Edge as well. So this is where your devices are on the on-premises or somewhere on the edge. You can deploy that as well, and also the failed programmable gate array. So just remember that you have multiple options to deploy your model. Okay, so with that, we are going to end this session, and we'll take the Q&A. And so we have 10 minutes of Q&A. Let's go ahead and ask all the questions. We'll reply by chat. I'm going to mute myself. And once again, a reminder that if you haven't got your Azure account and your mock, please go to this site and go ahead and consume and redeem your mock, or redeem your Azure account. So with that, I'm going to pause for a minute and pause for 10 minutes and take questions. So please ask away all your questions.
Hi everyone. Today I want to talk to you about one of my favorite topics in machine learning, the role of latent variables. Essentially, as a machine learning engineer, we are trying to model a real world process. And this real world process is not one that is well understood. And so we don't understand the laws that govern this real world process. All we have is data that is coming from that process. We don't really know very much more. Let's take an example of student learning. Here, the data that's being produced typically is test performance and attendance. What we really want to understand is a topic level proficiency of the student. Let's take another example, movie recommendation. Here, the data that we are looking at is ratings given by users of the system to movies. What we really want to understand again is user preferences and movies' ability to satisfy certain preferences. Let's take another example of trying to understand a domain, and what we have is a set of documents. We have words in that documents, but what we are trying to understand is what are those documents really about? What are the ontologies that are driving those documents? What's the meaning of these words? And so the task of a machine learning engineer is not an easy one. Let's take a deeper dive into one of these examples, and that's collaborative filtering, right? So we have an individual here that has certain preferences, and these preferences are unfortunately hidden within their brain. They're not actually explicitly giving those to us. What they're giving us are ratings that they're providing on a small subset of items that they have consumed. And from that, as a machine learning engineer, our task is to learn a function that is given a user and an item able to produce the rating that would be expected for that item. Now, adding to the complexity of this scenario is the fact that often users consume within contexts, right? And so we have this context here of a couple of children watching movies along with their parent, and suddenly the preferences themselves have changed. And so we can think of our function now becoming a little more complex, where not only do we have users and items, but we also have the context, and we refer to these as context-based or contextual recommenders. Now, the state-of-the-art algorithm for creating these collaborative filtering-based methods for recommendation uses something called matrix factorization. Here, we are given our user item matrix, and using the ratings that have been provided to us, and you can see that this is a sparse matrix. We have lots of missing information in here, and essentially what we are trying to do is fill in these missing information, right? And so what we do here from a machine learning perspective is make an assumption that we have some what are called latent variables or hidden variables. In fact, another word that has become very popular these days is embeddings, right? That I typically talked about in deep learning. So whether we refer to them as latent variables or embeddings, we are really saying that there is some hidden space in which we can represent the objects that we have explicitly been given data about. And in our example here, these would potentially map to references. Now, we don't know these values that exist in here. And so these are our unknowns or our parameters, where each of these values defines the importance of this latent variable in describing the preferences of Tim. And similarly, what we get is another matrix here, which is a description of items in their ability now to satisfy people that have a strong preference along one of these latent dimensions. The nice thing is that when we multiply these two matrices together, what we get almost like magic is predictions of ratings for movies by users that we did not have in the original data, right? And so these become our predicted ratings, and based on these, we can now suggest that Tim should really be watching I5 rather than I6 that has a much lower rating associated with it. The maths, of course, we don't have time to go through. If you have questions, by all means, you can email me and I'd be happy to respond to you. Thank you very much, and I hope you found this interesting.
All right, so great Q&A sessions. We had a lot of questions. Let's look at the last topic of the day, right? The module number 3, where we're going to talk about conversational AI, right? Which is predominantly the Azure bot service, right? And Azure Q&A maker. So in the next 45 minutes, we would have created our first bot, right? If you haven't created a bot before, it's so simple. In this session itself, we'll have theory plus demo of the entire bot creation, right? So looking forward to that, sharing with you. And we'll talk about responsible AI also in this session. So let's begin. Azure bot service, right? So this is a service which is useful to create bots. Now here, if you think about a bot, right? What entails creating a bot, right? If I wanted to create my own bot on my own without any of the platform, I will have to first create some infrastructure, right? So some virtual machine or set of virtual machines. I have to have a lot of libraries. I'll have to write code where the general bot functioning, like be able to interact, be able to listen in and out, all of those things are to be done. Then I would also require this bot to actually have a way to interact to multiple things. Like maybe a user wants to interact with the bots with Facebook or with Messenger or with Slack or with Microsoft Teams. Then I will require to create those adapters to be able to go ahead and interact with varieties of services. So as you can see that it is not so simple, right, to create a bot from scratch. And luckily we have Azure bot service. It gives you this entire bundle where literally creating a bot, you can create a bot, your first bot within 15 to 20 minutes, maybe an hour max, right? So it's a really powerful a service which gives you a bot builder SDK, right? And basically you can create your first bot within an hour. Once you're done, you can publish it as a web service, so it's also available, and you can just have to go and enable channels, click, and your bot will be able to interact with the users through any of this channel. So it's really great. So let's look at some of the bot design principles. So here, what are the factors that influence the success of a bot? A lot of times people write bot just because it's cool or it's something new and they want to try it, but actually it's a business problem. You have to first understand the user's problem, and you have to make sure that the bot can solve the user's problem with minimum number of steps, right? So many times you have these bots you interact with, and they keep asking you questions and keep routing you, and after a while you get frustrated, and then you kind of just hang up and try to call a customer service, right, with a human. So should not happen like that. So does the bot solve the user's problem better, easier, faster than any of the alternative experience like calling a customer service? Does the bot run on devices and platforms the user care about? Now imagine if you have a bot. If you look at most users, they use social media like Facebook, right? Teams is one of the fastest growing, Microsoft Teams is one of the fastest growing products inside of Microsoft. So Teams definitely a lot of people use inside the corporation. So things like that, right? If you have a bot where I have to log into a separate website and then ask, it might not be as useful. But imagine if I can interact with the bot through Facebook Messenger or through Teams, Microsoft Teams. Wonderful, right? So that's also something you need to worry about. Is a bot discoverable? Do users naturally know where to do? Do users naturally know what to do when they're using it, right? So that's also important. Factors that do not guarantee success: how smart the bot is. As in, sometimes people invest years and years and years and years and years to kind of get the try to make it better. I want better accuracy, I want better voice recognition, this that, and forget about this, which is what is a business problem. So please make sure that you kind of don't lose sight of that. The depth of natural language support and voice enabled. Of course, voice enabled is now picking up quite a bit, and that will definitely help. If you can solve the user problem and you can have something which is voice enabled, great, nothing like it. But don't have something which is voice enabled and doesn't solve a business problem, a user problem. That's not going to work out. So what does my development environment look like? So here, using the SDK that is provided by Azure Bot Service, right, you can build bots and take advantage of the following SDK features. The first is a dialogue system. The dialogue is a way that the bot interacts with the user. So for example, let's say you have a bot which is helping, it's an e-commerce bot helping to find the status of your order, right? So as soon as you come in, it could be a hello dialogue, right, which goes and identifies the user. Then the next dialogue could be you ask the you ask the order ID, right, and make sure that you understand what the product ID is. The next dialogue is you ask them what they want to do. The next dialogue is probably say, find the status of the order or something like that. So each dialogue has a particular thing to solve for the user, right? And it's stacked one on top of the other, so the user kind of keep going deeper to kind of get the answers that they want from the system. Then you have built-in prompts for simple things as yes or no, strings, numbers, or something like that, right? So for example, you want the order ID, but maybe there's a lot of noise where the user is, so we are not able to, it might be that we might not be able to pick up the order ID in this dialogue, right? So if you also give the user a prompt where he can type the order ID, right, that's better, because sometimes you don't want to speak, you just want to type because it's very noisy, and maybe it's not so, for minute things like the order ID, it might not pick up so well. Built-in dialogues that utilize the power of AI framework like Lewis. So we talked about language understanding called Lewis. So you have inbuilt dialogues that can take can take advantage of that. You have form flow for automatically generating a bot. So like you will see in the next demo, you can generate a bot within minutes, right? Half an hour, 1 hour, you have an operational bot deployed, and ready to serve users. So it's really powerful, really easy to be able to do that. So you can build using C Sharp and .NET environment, and you can build using JavaScript and Bot Framework SDK for Node.js. So those are the two kind of platforms supported at the moment: C Sharp with .NET or JavaScript with the Node.js SDK. All right, let's see a demo how to create a chatbot in Azure portal.
Okay, so thank you, Bhavish. So now let's check out how to create our own first chatbot by using Azure Bot Service. So for that, what we have to do, first go to these three button in the left corner and click on the create a resource, or you can use this if you are seeing on your dashboard. So go to this three button and click on create a resource, and here type bot. So you will find this web app bot. Click on it and then you will be on this blade. Now click create. So you will see this blade. So basically this blade includes some bot handle, subscription key, resource group, location, what we have seen on our cognitive service, right? So here we have to give unique bot handle. So let me give. Okay, so when you find this tick mark, it means the bot handle name is correct. Now select your subscription and then create a new resource group, or you can select the existing one. All right, so I have created the new resource group. Now select the location, whatever you want. I will prefer you to select the East US because it's cheaper. Now select the pricing tier F0. So here you are seeing that it is taking the app name automatically. So basically this is the URL and this must be unique. And when we check out this bot template, here in the bot template, you will see we have two SDK language, C Sharp and Node.js, right? So for now, I'm selecting the C Sharp. Now I'm creating the EcoBot and then click OK. So select the EcoBot and click OK. Select the app service plan, and or you can leave it as it is. So application insight. So I am making it off for now. I don't want any monitoring for my bot service. Now put everything default and click create. So let me go through this again. So here I have given the bot handle name and then I have selected my subscription, create or select the existing resource group, select the location, select the pricing tier F0 and app name, select the bot template EcoBot, disable the application insight and put rest this app service plan and Microsoft app ID and password, make it default and click create, right? So it will create one web app bot for you. So the deployment is under process. So basically we have created one EcoBot which will echo whatever you will write, right? Like suppose you have written hi, it will reply with hi, or if you have written your name, it will reply with your name. So basically we have created one EcoBot. After that, we will check out that how to integrate our bot with the Telegram, right? You can also integrate your bot with other application like Messenger or Microsoft Teams, Slack. So it's deploying. Meanwhile, the deployment is under process. Let's check out my existing bot service. So I have already created one bot service. So here in the bot service, you are seeing that if you want to create your bot locally, so for that you have to download the bot source code. You need one emulator so you can create your bot locally as well. To test your bot, click on this test in web chat. You know what? You know what? My bot is now ready. Let me go there. Okay. So to test your chatbot, click on this test in web chat. All right. Now type something here like, hi, may I know your name, please? So yeah, you're seeing that is just replying as it is whatever we are typing, right? Now let's check out how we will integrate our bot service to other channels. Channels as in, let's suppose you have created one web application and you want to integrate your Azure chatbot to your web application. So for that, what you have to do, simply use this, URL, uh, use this embedded code and copy and paste to your HTML code, and it will open your web app chatbot there. And there you have to replace your secret key with the key here, right? Copy the key and paste it here and replace or copy this iframe HTML code to your web application, right? So now what we will see, we will check out how to integrate our chatbot to the Telegram. So for now, what I have to do, let me open my Telegram app here. All right. So basically, the first step to integrate your chatbot with your Telegram is we are going to use the bot father here. So search for bot father. So when you find this bot father with this tick mark, click on it and start the conversation with the bot father. So basically this will guide you, this will assist you to create a new bot for your Telegram app. So here you are seeing that to create a new chat bot, I have to type this, right? So let me type new bot. So it is giving me the suggestion. So I am clicking on it. So I'll write a new bot. How are we going to call it? So there we have to mention the bot name. So I'm giving the AS bot. Okay. Now it wants some username for our bot. Okay. So let me try if this will work. All right. Okay. Yeah, this will go fine. Now, what we have to do, when you find that your this username is unique, it will show you, it will give you actually a one access token. So what you have to do, copy this access token, copy this access token right? Minimize the app, and then here you will find Telegram on your portal. Click on it and give your access token here. All right. And then save it. So after saving, we have to check. Now, after saving, you find that this got enabled. Now, it means your chatbot is ready. Now it's time to access it. So to access the chatbot, what we have to do, you will find this Telegram on your channel list. So click on edit, right? Or you know what? So click on this get bot embedded code and click on this Telegram and copy the URL. So remember, you have to copy this URL and paste it here, right? So it will ask you to open Telegram desktop and ready. You are ready to use your bot. So start the conversation. Hi, good to see you. Ta-da! So your chatbot is ready and you have integrated your chatbot with your Telegram. Hope you enjoyed it. And now I am handing over this to Bhavesh. Thank you.
All right, so now let's see how we can convert the chatbot to a Q&A maker. So first, what's a Q&A maker service? A lot of times we have, a lot of people have Q&A or FAQs, you write inside their web pages. Now FAQs, like if you talk about Azure, right, there are probably 50 to 60 to 100 services in Azure, and each and every one of those services has an FAQ page. So finding information from that is much harder compared to, let's say, if I can converse with a bot and ask the bot about the information. So Q&A maker service helps you in those kind of use cases. So here's the kind of Q&A maker .ai service, and here's my knowledge base, which is the list of all the questions and the kind of answers that I have. So what I do here is that I create a Q&A maker resource in Azure. From that, I sign into qnamaker.ai, right? From there, I can go ahead and create Q&A pairs. So I can create questions, and for those kind of questions, I can create answers, right? So this is called as a knowledge base. And then integrate the chatbot for automated response capabilities. So I create, what my existing bot that I have, I go ahead and integrate with the Q&A maker that I've made. And then the bot will be able to answer those questions with me without me having to search for the Q&A. So let's see a demo of how to create a Q&A maker service.
Okay, thank you, Bhavesh. So now we will check out how to create Q&A chatbot. So for that, we need one Q&A maker service. So let's see how to do that. So if you remember in the previous demo, we have cloned one AI fundamental repository. So for the remaining session, we are going to use this AI fundamentals repository. So you click on this folder and there you will find one 3A Q&A bot IPYNB file. So click on it. So basically on our next, or you can say further demo, we are using this file to create our Q&A bot. So you can use this as your reference. So first we have to create a Q&A maker. So to do that, what you have to do, click on this URL qnamaker.ai, and it will let you on Q&A Maker portal, right? Okay. Now, if you are not sign in with your Microsoft account through which you are accessing your Azure portal, and then click on Create a Knowledge Base. So when you click on the Create a Knowledge Base, you will be on this page which has 5 steps, right? So we will go to each step one by one. So our first step is to create a Q&A maker, right? Now click on this create a Q&A maker, and it will let you on as your portal. So sign in with your account. Okay, so now you're saying now we are going to create a Q&A maker service. So before that, we have to again give a unique name to our Q&A maker bot. So I'm giving unique name to my bot, right? So if you find the tick mark here, that means your bot is, this name is unique. Select the subscription. Select the pricing tier, standard as 0, right? You can select the existing resource group or you can create the new one. So I'm creating the new one, Q&A maker bot. Okay. Select the resource group location. And here you're seeing that the other item is not available. It means in the West US, Azure search pricing tier is not available. So what we have to do first, select the Azure search location and select East US, and then here select free F, right? Now, if you find this tick mark, it means this name is globally unique because this is a URL which must be globally unique, and then select the website location. So I'm selecting it East US again. Disable the app inside and click create, right? So let me again go to the, so here you have to give the unique name to your Q&A maker service. Select the subscription. Select the pricing tier, standard as 0. Select your resource group location. Select the Azure search location, East US, and then select Azure pricing tier, free F. Give unique name to your app. Select the website location and make app inside disable and click create. Right? So basically your deployment is under proceed. So when your deployment is done, you will find your Q&A service here after refreshing this. Okay. So for now, I am handing it to Bhavish. Thank you.
Now that we have created a Q&A maker, right, we don't want to just keep manually adding question and answer. We want to add a knowledge base. Let's see how we can do that. So here, for knowledge base, we have questions, right? The questions that we expect the user to ask. We have the answer that we will give the user when they ask those questions, and metadata about those questions, right? As to, so for example, you can have in Azure, for example, for all the questions, maybe you can have the questions divided into business questions, technical questions, a limits question. What is the limit? What's the maximum I can have? What is the maximum size of Azure storage? What's the maximum number of VMs I can have, right? So those kind of questions we can have. So we can have different metadata, and that helps us in organizing the questions. So for the knowledge base, which is where all the data is, I can actually have a PDF, right? I can have docs, and I have a lot of other things, right? We can have FAQs, and I can use all of that to create my knowledge base. So knowledge base looks something like that. You can see that here's a question. So what are the kind of question I expect? Let's say good night, night, have a good night, all that. And what is the answer for those kind of things? So this is a very simple thing, right? But to make the bot more user friendly, you can kind of add those kind of things. But for more comprehensive stuff, you can say click Q&A pair, and then you can just ask have the technical question and the answer associated with that added over here, right? So here we are adding the knowledge to our Q&A maker. I have the Microsoft Azure Active Directory, subscription name, and the Azure Q&A service. So what this does is that this connects your Q&A service to your knowledge base. So let's see a demo how to enhance our Q&A with additional knowledge base.
Okay, so thank you, Bhavish. So as in our earlier demo, we have created Q&A maker service. Now we will going to attach the Q&A service to our knowledge base, and then we will add FAQ to our knowledge base, right? So if you want to check out your Q&A service, you can go to the Azure portal and click your resource group where you have deployed your Q&A maker. Now click on it, and here you will find the resources which has been created along with the Q&A maker service, right? And also, if you have any doubts, like if you are not able to follow my step, you can also follow the step mentioned on this notebook server, right? After that, we will be on our second step. So for that, you have to refresh this refresh button, and then you have to select the Microsoft Azure directory, right? Select your subscription and then select the Azure Q&A service, right? So if you are seeing that, if you will find here the error that this role does not have permission to perform the action, in that case, what you have to do, go to your Azure portal, and here in the IAM section of Q&A bot service, there you have to give the role assignment. Role assignment as in click on add role assignment, select the role which is cognitive, type cognitive, and here you will find this role, right? Cognitive Services Q&A Maker Editor, and assign this role to your user from which you are using your Azure portal, right? And click save. So it will assign the role, and then you will not be able to find the error here. Okay, select the language English. Now here you have to give your knowledge base, name to your knowledge base. So I am typing ASKB, and then in the fourth step, here you have to provide the URL for your FAQ. So what you have to do, go back to the notebook, copy this URL, right? Copy this URL and paste it here and click add URL, right? So this is basically the docs for FAQ, right? After that, here you have to put this chit chat none and simply click create your knowledge base. Or if you want, you can put this as professional as well, because we are making one professional chatbot. And then click create. So it will create one knowledge base for you. After that, we will check out how to add additional questions and answer to our knowledge base. So basically it will take some time to create, and yeah, it's ready. Let the Q&A pop up here. Yeah, all right. So here you will find that there are some Q&A, as in why Margis Travel. Margis Travel is a full service travel agent with years of experience in worldwide tourism industry. So here you find some number of Q&A. You can also add Q&A here by clicking add Q&A pair, right? Give hi, and in the answer you can type hi. Or here you can also add hello. Might be user will ask hi or hello anything, but our bot will send the reply hi only, right? Now save and train, right? So what we have seen, we have attached our Q&A service with our knowledge base. After that, we have provided FAQ docs to our knowledge base, and then we added some Q&A pair to it. Right, now we will see the further demo on next session. Now I'm handing over this to Bhavesh. Thank you.
So now that you have the knowledge base, you can publish your knowledge base. So you can add questions related to an answer, you can delete an answer, you can add a Q&A pair, you can show metadata tags. So for all of this, you can go ahead and publish it. So let's see a demo to test and publish knowledge base.
Okay, so thank you, Bhavesh. So as we have added Q&A to our knowledge base, and also we have added some Q&A pair to it, now it's time to test and publish our Q&A bot, right? So to do that, first we will test our Q&A. So click on this test button and type hi, and then who is Margis. All right, so you are seeing that it is giving you the answer according to the knowledge base, according to the Q&A which we have provided it here, right? Now, after testing, we will publish it. So click on this publish tab, and here click publish. Okay, so it will take some time to prepare the environment. Yeah. So now again, we are going to create one Q&A bot. Earlier we have created Q&A service. Now we are going to create one bot for our Q&A service. So click on this create bot button, and it will let you on Azure portal. Okay. So basically what we have done, first we have created the Q&A maker service, and then we have attached our Q&A maker service to the knowledge base, and then we have added some FAQs to our knowledge base. Next we have tested our knowledge base, and then we are going to create a bot for our Q&A maker service, right? So here this bot handle must be unique. I'm selecting the existing resource group, select the subscription, select the location East US, right? Select the pricing tier F0. If you're finding this tick mark, this means that these all names are available, right? Put this Q&A auth key by default. Don't do any changes on it. Even in this app service plan, leave it default and make it disabled. The application inside, make it disabled and rest everything default. So basically what we have done, first give the bot handle name, then select the subscription, then select the resource group, select the location for your bot, select the pricing tier F0, give the unique app name, remain this default, right? Make the application inside disable and then click create. So it will create one bot service for you. After that, we will test our bot how we have done earlier by clicking on test in web chatbot, and then we will add our chatbot, or you can say we will add our chatbot to our web app application. Right? So the deployment is under process. So meanwhile, I am handing over this to Bhavesh. Thank you.
So now we have a Q&A maker. We want to integrate bots with Q&A maker. And more importantly, we want to have a conversational AI. So we want our bot to be able to talk with us and give us answers to those FAQs, right? So here's our deployment details, which we get from application settings. And then once you have that, you can integrate that with the knowledge base. So let's see a demo of that.
Okay, so thank you, Bhavish. So as we have created the bot for our Q&A service, let's check out our bot. So when you click on this, go to resource, it will let you on your bot service. Now, in the bot management, click on test in web chat. So here basically you can test your bot. Type hello, right? Who is Marquez? All right. I want to book my flight ticket. Yeah. So here it is. So this is the bot service, like you are seeing according to your responses. It is answering you whatever the answers are there on Q&A pair, right? So you can also create your own chatbot, as in if you want some chatbot for your institute or you want your own chatbot where you can provide your own Q&A, your own FAQ, and according to that FAQ, your Q&A service will respond, right? Now we will integrate our chatbot with our web application. So let's see how to do that. Yeah, so here you are seeing that there is already web chat in the channel, right? So basically what you have to do, click on this get bot embedded code, right? Click here to open the web chat configuration page, and here copy this embedded code, right? So after copying it, go back to your notebook, and here in the down, in the last cell, replace this embedded code goes here from your embedded code, right? Now give the mean height with 200 so that it's like visible. You don't need to scroll your chatbot. And here in the your secret, here you have to put the secret key, right? This one. So basically copy this and paste it here, right? Now you can run this cell and type, I want to book my hotel, right? So yeah, here it is. So on this way, you can add this embedded code to your web application and you can adjust your PX by giving some mean height, mean width accordingly, right? So this is all about the Q&A service.
All right. So the last chapter of the day is responsible AI. Throughout the day, we have seen how powerful AI is, right? What powerful applications can we build with the help of AI ML? So, with power comes responsibility, and we have to use the AI responsibly as well. You'll get a few questions on this in your certification as well. So, the challenges and risk with AI, the first challenge or risk is that bias can affect results, which means that if your data is biased, then your AI will learn from the biased data. For example, if you have a loan data and it's the AI is learning from past data, and past data discriminates against a gender. So let's say in the past, the loan officers were not giving loans to females. Then the AI will learn from it and it will also have the same bias. So we have to be really careful that our data doesn't have bias in it. Otherwise, the AI will also have bias. Errors can cause harm. So think of an autonomous vehicle experience where a system failure can cause collision, cause death. So we have to be very, very careful that the errors we make in our AI can harm others really severely. Data could be exposed, right? So imagine that you have a medical bot which has sensitive patient data, and if it's stored unsecurely, it can leak, and some sensitive patient data can be exposed to everyone. So that's probably not good. Solutions may not work for everyone. So imagine a predictive app which provide, let's say, no audio output, right? Just visuals. So for users who are visually impaired might not be able to use that app, right? So then that's not good. We need to think of how our solutions can be inclusive for all the able people, right? Whether they are hearing impaired or whether there's any other impairment, they can still go ahead and use our solutions. Users must trust a complex system. So, for example, things like banking, finance, financial investment, and so forth, right? Or something like, let's say, autonomous vehicle. We are putting a lot of trust in that it will keep us safe. So, they must trust a complex system. So we have to understand that and make user comfortable with it and be responsible for that. So, do our best job. And who's liable for an AI driven decision? So, for example, an innocent person is convicted because facial recognition gives you wrong results, then who's responsible? Is it the person who convicted them? Is it the guy who wrote the algorithm? Right? I mean, that's kind of a very tricky moral challenge. So the principles of responsible AI that we need to make sure that our AI solutions will have is fairness. It should be fair to all the gender, all the race, all the nationalities, and so forth. Reliability and safety, right? We have to make sure that our systems are reliable and safe. Think of autonomous driving cars, right? It has to be reliable and safe. We have to think about privacy and security. So make sure that the data which is used by the systems and data which is generated by the systems are kept in the most secure way that you possibly can. Inclusiveness, we have to make sure that our AI applications are inclusive, which means that they are for everyone. For folks who maybe are visually impaired or hearing impaired, they should still be able to use our system. Transparency, the decisions that are made are transparent, right? And we should be able to justify the decisions. and accountability, that we should be able to audit all the decisions that are made, and there's accountability for decisions that are made, so that we can go back in time and check why something was done, and like have an audit trail of the things, right? So this is a fairly lengthy topic. I just give you a brief intro for it. This URL is extremely important. Microsoft is at the forefront of responsible AI, and they are the leaders in this space. Just take a screenshot of this, if you wanted to take a note down the URL, microsoft.com/AI/responsible-AI, and get more information on this topic from there, right? All right, so that's the end of module number 3 as well, right? And this is the end of this session. Hope you guys had fun. I had a lot of fun delivering the session for you, right? And we got some amazing feedback, some amazing questions, great enthusiasm from everyone. So it makes us really happy to see this kind of enthusiasm. So great. So now what's your next step in the journey with us, right? So you attended this session. Hopefully you would have gotten the mock and the Azure account, which were given as part of this session. So what's next for you? Next is self-study. So in the next few slides, I will give you some go-dos, right? Which is also in India, we call it sometimes homework. So those go-to links will, the kind of work we have done here, you'll be able to go ahead and do that on your own. You have the Azure account now, you have the mock. So read mock, do the go-dos, right? So the self-study by reading mock and doing those go-dos. Then within a few days, you will get a link from Microsoft on assessment. So, go ahead and please look out for the link from assessment. This assessment you can take a few times. I think it's about 3 or 5 or something like that times. You can check when you get the link. And if you clear the assessment, right, you have to get above a certain percentage. You're going to get a certificate, course completion certificate, which will embellish your resume. In this kind of market, in this kind of this thing, if you have that on your resume, it's going to look really great. So really encourage you to finish the self study and get the assessment done. And post that, right, when you're done with the assessment, this is optional, but highly recommended. You can actually go ahead and get the AI 900 certification as well. This is a Microsoft certification, which you can go and get. So expect more information about it in the email as well, or you can just search about the certification in your favorite search engine, and you'll get more information about this. But if you have done the self-study and clear the assessment, I think there's a very good chance that you'll be able to clear the certification as well. Right, so that's the journey with us. We really hope that you'll take it all the way and get the certification, and that will really shine your resume if you have an official certification from Microsoft. So please take a screenshot of this. My team is also sending you the links in chat, all these links, right? So you will have the module references and the go-dos, the work that we have done and the go-dos. So please go ahead and finish doing all of this by your own. And if you are interested in the AI 900 certification we talked about, then this is the link which gives you more information on that. And it routes you to MS Learn, where you can get more information and you can also read more about it, right? So that's kind of the, please take a screenshot and copy paste from the chat so you have this thing with you, right? And I really encourage you to finish all of this now that you have an Azure account. With that, we're going to start the Q&A session, right? So thank you so much, and ask away the questions if you have them. And once again, my team will reply you through chat. Small shout out, if you haven't redeemed the mock yes Microsoft official curriculum and the Azure account, please go ahead and go to this link. This will give you both the MOC, Microsoft official curriculum, and the Azure account. Get this done so you have a way to do all the go-dos, finish all the go-dos using that, right? So with that, let me actually go ahead and start the Q&A session, and answer all your questions. So please let us know how you like the session, right? Like if you have social media, talk to us on the social media. The hashtag that we use is always learning. right? Always learning is the hashtag. So post on social media about this with the hashtag always learning on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever you are on social media. Tell us how you